At what time did the child, was the child brought to Mecca? Because we read the story of how the father brought the mother to Mecca. And when Surah to Ibrahim, we read where he said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ربنا إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي ذرع عند بيتك المحرم ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة واجعل أفئدة من الناس تهوي إليهم وارزقهم من الثمرات لعلهم يشكرون. He said, Oh Allah, my Lord, I have a branch of my family here in the desert where there was no water, there was no human being, there was nothing. The trust in Allah was so deep. That was another prayer there. We mentioned the prayer, he said, Rabbi Habib Mina Solihin. The prayer again that he said, in Askantu, when I have accommodated, I have brought here to be living a branch of my family, min dhuriya, like that. And of course, in the same surah again, he prayed, Rabbana ij'al muqima salah wa min dhurriyyatin. So around the life of Ibrahim, as a father, as a family head, we saw his entire life in dua. So if you're a father and you are not immersed, engrossed in dua from time to time, you are meeting something great in your home. Prayer, supplication is a weapon that you resort to from the beginning as you are moving at the end. You can't just on your own think that the wealth you've amassed, the position you have attained, abroad you have taken them to, those one cannot help to raise your child. It's not about the money. It's not about the opportunities. It's not about the exposures. Several people were exposed to many things, and as long, what happened to them? So this you have to get clear. It's about you turning to Allah, making dua day and night for Allah to answer your prayers. So the story goes that Ibrahim brought Hajar to Mecca. So when he brought them there, Ibrahim now brought them. There was no prior discussion about where are we going, because as a prophet of Allah, he was acting on instruction. So in Ibn Qayyim's explanation, he said it was because at that time, Ismail was around, it was some years, maybe around 2, 3 years. By that time, what's the name? Sarah has not had any issue. Bearing in mind, she was the wife of Ismail. She was the first wife. Why the story of Hajar was given as a gift, as a wife, to Shikana Tijaria, as a wife to Ibrahim. Now, she has now got a child. Why the first wife, Sarah, had not got a child? She was, so counting some decades in her life, maybe around 66 or 7. So it was reported that, of course, as a human being, the factor of humanity is always in human beings. The jealousy and things like that from some narrations was mentioned like in Ibn Qayyim. So as a mercy for her, Allah to showing mercy on her, have directed before other things Allah want to achieve by that very directive. Just like Adam too, who was in paradise, and Allah said that whereas Allah said Khalifa, but he decided to keep him there. When what Allah has known will happen, that made him now get down from this very place you've been before. The same thing now, Allah asked Ibrahim to take Hajar away, far away from Sarah. So this is a window that men should realize. When some women go through some situations at times, maybe she's not for years, she has not got a child. I know you as the head of the family. Don't just assume that our iman, she should understand. She should have iman. She should have taqwa. She should have trust in Allah. She will. But she's a human being. Nahnu basharun. The humanity also will never leave us. So you have to look at ways you calm her down, you make her simmer so that she will not, out of such situation, someone will act rashly. They will act the other way. So Allah, here we are taught a lesson. So Ibrahim was to take his mother and the son away from Sarah so that that distance will let her, the burning, whatever in her heart will reduce. So he brought her to the So desert, that's in Mona in Makkah then. Then, of course, those who knew Makkah many years back was a pure desert, no human being, nothing. So when the young got there, he now left. Then Ismail was around 2 years, was a child, not just a baby person, was around 2 years that time. So when they came there, and of course, he now turned to go. As was now, these are issues for family. As was now going, the wife did not overburden the husband with questions. Where are we going? Where are you taking us to? She knew the husband was a man. So in this case now, as a husband, does your spouse see you as a man of God in quote? Does he see you as somebody who is godly? Is she suspecting you that you, this person, you know, do your ibadah, you know, observe your tahajjud, you not read your Quran, you know, do adhkar, you can't be trusted with businesses. You know, does she see you that way? Your wife, to build your home, she must see you in the forefront as a model she can copy, she can emulate spiritually. In a home whereby the husband is found wanting in spirituality, that house is about to crash unless the wife is strong too, that can mitigate or a kind of serve as a kind of a way to solve the problem. So he brought her, and when he was now about to, he just asked them, "This way I'm going to be, I'm going." As he now turns to go, the wife now asked him, "What happened?" What he said was that, Allahu amaraka bihadha. My husband, this thing you have done, are you acting on instruction from Allah? Qala Ibrahim, Naam. Yes. When he said that, the wife now said again, even lan yudoji'an Allah. Allah Akbar. She said, if you are acting on instruction from Allah, Allah will not let us to suffer. Allah will not leave us alone. Allah will not let us to get wasted. MashaAllah. See the iman. This kind of iman, you as a wife or a wife to be, you have such iman towards your husband that you believe, you trust that whatever he says, wherever he goes, you are with him. And see what Hajar did. So to build your home, you must get to the level of putting your full trust in Allah, not in your husband. That Allah is the doer, Allah is the provider, Allah is the nourisher. Because some wives just put all their trust in the husband. When he now dies, problem starts. When he has any issue, problem starts. When you are time trusting them, problem starts. Learn to put your trust in your Lord, the Lord of your husband. Whatever you feel you need, you turn to Allah. Don't turn to a human being. Yes, he has been put in place that yes, agreed. But who is he? If Shaitan tries to waylay him and cause other things. So that's when we have to notice that. So she said Allah will never leave them with the way known for them to get straight. So that was that very one. Now, but what happened? Someone don't trust Allah. That's what she went through. The story goes that at a point her breast milk stopped because the child of 2 years, there was no water, there was no food, there was no person to assist them. She was now troubled. And again, the breast milk could have been for the child stopped too often. That was what made her to now start, hastening between Safa and Marwa. Perhaps she will get water. She did that very one 7 times. On the 7th time, she now saw water gushing by the feet of her child. And that water is called Zemzem. In some records, Zemzem is the language then. Water she just collect together because she was afraid the water was just gushing out. She was like afraid, oh, this water should not, drown a child. Some scholars said, has she not even uttered that in that day, water will have become a very big sea that will surbound everywhere there. So that was about that. So the child, water gushed out and he collected there, she got water. So first, that's a fruit of Iman. When your faith in Allah is deep, is really original, Allah has his own plan, every human being. He has a way of taking care of our situations. That is number one there. Two, on Ismail also. So Ismail, at that tender age of 2 years, was a trial for him. Though he was not conscious, was still a little child. But see what happened to him at that time that Allah tested his mother. Secondly, we call it a that. Now, there was this story of the slaughtering of the ram and the building of the Kaaba. So what was clear in record is that the first thing that happened was the slaughtering of the ram. And that very one, there are variants, the variants in positions. Some say it was 7 years, some say it was 13 years. Either of the two, he was still less than 14 years. That was when Allah now tried him that is the father, that was Ibrahim. He said, Inni ra'aytu fil manami anni adbahuk. Oh, my son. He called the son. The father had a dream, not the son. He now called the son that he relayed the dream. And the son, was not, he knew his father was somebody who was godly. Himself has been trained to be godly. That's one, building your home. You are the one to build your child to get ready for such situations. So it shows that his brother Ismail was trained to have that kind of iman. So for your house to be safe, you need to get clear. Are your children trained to that level to understand the discussions, the connections, the issues of iman, that they will not just be misled by anything at all. So today in the world we have children, and these children, what happened to them? What do they become? What are they doing? What are they focusing? What are they saying? What are they thinking? You need to ask these questions about your family. My child, what is he thinking? Where does he go? How does he think? What are the tests of Iman he has gone through? So then, in this case, we have a son who was to be slaughtered, and of course, we saw that we saw in this story Quwwatul Iman min jihati Ismail, the power of Iman of Ismail was like a JS's child, just 2 or just 3, or we say basic 6 or 5. Now just look at any child in that very class today. That was Ismail for Ibrahim, Ismail for you. Then we saw that he understood the wisdom of Allah in what the father told him. And what happened? When the son submitted, we saw Allah now did what? Allah replace, exchange Ismail with not just ordinary capture, a very big ram was what Allah used to exchange, and till today, when you now perform Hajj, you will slaughter a ram, we call it a Hadiyah or Hajj. So for those who did not go to Hajj, we slaughter our own on the 10th of the Zulhijjah here, why those in Haram in Makkah will do their own too, they call it Hadi. So you can see that's the kind of Arafah. So the Iman of Ismail, the legacy of his sacrifice, is what we are seeing today when we go for the Eid al-Adha. So when you're building your home, what kind of child have you given birth to? Will your child be ready to be slaughtered for the deen? In this case now, no more slaughtering of false children or the children. They are talking of, will he be ready to sacrifice for deen, to give what it takes for his iman, to just know that, this Islam, I'm ready for it, I'll go for it, I can die for it, I will sacrifice all I have for the deen, my time, my wealth, my everything. Are your children ready today for that? That's a question you asked about your family. The next thing about him was that Ismail got married, and there's different stories that after the he used to come around, but at the time he came back, we learned that the wife then Hajar had died, and he asked for the whereabouts of his children. Went to the house of Ismail, that was Ibrahim then, who should close his 100 around that time. So when he got home and he did not see the husband was not at home, he asked the wife, "Where's your husband?" And of course, she answered him that he was not around. And that, okay, he went somewhere looking for what they would eat and things like that. Then when we come to the issue of the wife, we mention more about that very one. So he now asked her, "How are you doing? How is everything?" The wife was complaining that, "No, we don't have how we no, we are in a kind of dick. We are suffering, no food, we don't have convenience, so it's not easy for us at all." That was just in the hospital. That no basharun, nahnu fi diqin wa shidda. نحن بشر نحن في شق في ضيق وشدة. We are going through trying times. It's not easy. Things are tough. No food at home. That was a complaint she was raising before an old man. She never knew who she was, a stranger. So to build your home, Are you a wife like that? They always complain. So that was one thing there. When the father had that very one, he now told the woman that she never knew she was the father of her husband. He now told her that when your husband come, ask him to remove his lock, to change his lock. When he came back, she said, "Oh," she not told the husband. She now asked her, well, did anybody come to ask of me? He said, "Yes." So there was one old man that came here. So he asked about everything. I told him everything, how we are suffering, how we are doing this and that. He now said, "What did the man now advise me to do?" He said, "You change your lock." This man now said, "That was my father. He has asked me to divorce you." And he asked the woman to go to their family. He now remarried another woman. So we can see the connection there. It's not to say that your father just asked you to go and divorce your wife. But in Syria, we have cases like that. That's the case of Umar and his son too. We have that one. Some fathers are deep thinkers who knew just beyond the ordinary. So it was a genuine case that that kind of woman may not be able to build a very solid, strong home for children who are just complaining about the way they are going about. So as a good wife, you must learn to know when to talk and when not to talk. You must learn to have that wisdom of when things are tough and how you can navigate or manage them, not necessarily exposing your family to the world of things that with time Allah can solve it for you. It's when he married another wife, another year the father came, he saw the new wife again. He asked about the husband, how is your husband, where is he? Things like that. And of course, he asked about how things are faring. She now said, "Nahanu bi khairin. Sa'atin. We are good. Wa afinati ala Allah." She thanked Allah. She said, "Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, we are fine. We are not." Ibrahim asked her, "Faqala, ma ta'amukum? What do you people eat?" فقالت اللحم. We eat meat. فما شرابكم? What do you drink? قالت الماء. We drink water. So you can say that in our prayer that Allahumma barik lahum fil lahmi wal ma'. Bless their water and bless their meat. So in that case, we as wives, we have to get that one clear. How do you relate with strangers? How do you complain about the home? It's not to say that when you have genuine issues, but in this case, you can see that it's about sustenance. And the husband too was out, not just a lazy person. A lazy type who just was sleeping every now and then. That was about the marriage of Ismail. Then came the building of the Kaaba, chapter 2 of the Quran, verse 127, where Allah says, وَإِذْ يَرْفَعِ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلُ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. So that was when it was said that he has already married. When the father Ibrahim now came, by Allah's instruction was to build the Kaaba. So when he came, the son joined him to do that. From this very one, we can see raising the pillar for worship, raising the pillar for building a house for Allah. Your children too must be there, must be by your side to raise the pillar of da'wah, to raise the pillar of ibadah, the pillar of communal services, raise the pillar of reconstruction, raise the pillar of pioneering changes. Not just your father going this way, child going the other way. In a family, in a home where father does things from what the child is doing, they are going different ways. Children don't even want to see their father. It's a problem already. That kind of house is not a kind of a pride for the Ummah of Islam. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let's work on that and see that our children equally help us to read the pillar of our home. Look at the case of Yaqub when he said, "Ya baniya, ma ta'buduna min ba'di, qalu na'budu ilahaka." Look at the father about leaving the world. He said, "My children, what will you do after me? We worship you, your Lord of your forefathers too." So your children, are you sure when you die today, you retain the iman? Or presently, are you seeing the signals that these children, alhamdulillah, they will do more than I'm doing? Have they challenged the Islam you are doing that Islam you are doing, you can do more than this? So have they challenged you? Or the little you are doing is what you are even begging them to do half? Is that not the case today? The little we have not done enough. We have not read much. Some of them have read more than 200 books. China has not read 10 books. You are observing Tahajjud 4 hours for maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour. China is managing to observe 2. Even if you are forcing him to wake up to pray them, as they will not want to do. Everything you want to, they're always on the system, on the laptop, on the iPad. Yeah, all those editors. Even some are into music. So, and those are the children we are living for the deen. They get so no, that's a very serious issue. That's one too. It's another aspect of the family, your home. We have to note about that very one. And of course, we saw that the role of Ismail when he sacrificed to be killed, he said something. When the father relayed the dream to him that, yeah, but if look at the first thing he said, mind that what Allah asks you to do is what you should do now. How many children encourage us to do the right to do to go through the right way? Even just ordinary marriages today, we saw what our daughters are turning us to in the way they want to please the world. Most things we have to be careful. We must not please the world. When we please Allah, Allah make the world to be pleased with us. When we please people, you will displease Allah, then the world will not be pleased with you. We have to get it right. So we saw Ibrahim down to the fact that do what Allah has to do. If I didn't mean you see me among the world, among those who are patient. So we learned died when it was around 37 years. That was the first part. As regards the son in the home. Building your home, you can take the samples from life of Ismail, the Halqah, a session in your homes, you discuss this with your children and let them draw out their examples. We now go to the wife. That's Hajj. Hajj, as we know, the second wife of Ismail, Ibrahim rather, salam. We now saw that when the husband brought her there, she was faithful, trusted in Allah, and Allah eventually blessed her with Zemzem, and of course, a righteous son. That today, when you now do Hajj, the legacy of Hajar is there. Safa and Marwa. Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'irillah. Anytime you step there, you are there. You say the verse. You have to remember. Safa and Marwa have been there, but the hastening of Hajar between the two made it more, give it another meaning that allows me to be part of a Hajj rites. The same way the sons sacrificed to be killed made killing of ram or slaughtering of ram become Hajj rites also. So that one too, because compulsory for a pilgrim, when you perform Hajj, you do your Hadiah, they kill the ram for you. So the wife too, we saw that her patience paid when Allah that one for her. That was one. Two was we saw the struggle of a mother and alone with her child. There are times in life a mother will remain with her child alone. She will not get anybody helping her. But that's why you need Allah. The husband may die very early. Anything can happen to the husband. He can lose his job. You have cause to be alone. The world may not see you, but if the world don't see you, you to see Allah. Allah will make the world see you. So we saw the mother struggling. Safa and Marwa looking for a child to take care of her child. A mother can't just be not having concern for her child. A good mother's life is tied around a child for training, because in the Sharia, the major role of a wife is mas'uliyatu tarbiyatul awlad wa tadbiru shu'un al-bayt. It's for her to train the child to raise the pillar of the home, to train her for the right thing. That one too, as a mother, we have to note. Then we saw the family test in this the father, the son, and the mother. The father was out on instruction. The mother was lonely for many years, because Ibrahim was just going and coming, leaving the mother alone with the child, and life continues. And of course, when the child was to be killed, she was patient. And of course, the son too was to be killed, and the father asked the son to divorce his wife. All these are trials she equally went through. And finally, for tonight, my dear listeners, we now come to Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wassalam. The life of Ibrahim is a very touching, emotional, faithful one. At age 86, that was when he had his first child. Age 86. So today you married? Thank God Allah has not made marriage, wealth, positions, family as the basis for Al-Jannah. The basis for Al-Jannah is Amalun Saleh, Imanun Amik wa Amalun Saleh. Your Iman and the righteous deed your Iman propel you to do, which goes beyond just observing Salat or raising your Iman. It's about societal contributions and social services. So first is that we saw a father who only gave birth at old age, according to by human calculation, woman was menopausal and the like, So we saw the story in Surah Zariyat, when the angels gave the news that Sarah will equally give birth. That's about his heart. But before that very one, She has been on for long without a child. Now we saw in Ibrahim obedience and sacrifice. How many fathers are obedient to Allah? How many fathers are ready to sacrifice for Allah? What do we do today? We had to give less time to Allah. So to build your home, the husband, the driver, the pilot must show a level of a boundless obedience to Allah. You have to wait. That is what will make the home to be strong. When the husband is not strong, is not strong spiritually, the house will crack. If not, they're not careful again, it can crush. In the home, the father is not strong, the mother is not strong, forget, unless I want to show mercy on them. So we saw Ibrahim, and we saw that even when also Allah said that he should kill his child, we read that he made his child to face up, his face was on the ground. He was not putting the knife to cut the neck. He just realized that the knife on that very day failed to carry out the function of cutting. This is how Iman works. Iman works in unimaginable manner. The knife that was meant to cut that day, just like the fire that was to burn Ibrahim, failed that day too. When Allah says, Ya narukuni baruda wa salam ala Ibrahim. The fire failed that day. It could not burn. The same way the knife failed Ibrahim, it could not cut the son. You don't realize what's happening. I say, وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَيَّا إِبْرَاهِيمَ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ رُؤْيَا. Allah Akbar. A call just came, the voice came and said, "Oh Ibrahim, you fulfilled the covenant. You are true to what asked you to do," because Allah was testing him. So you too, as a father, can you pass the test of Allah? Can you pass the test of Allah with regards to your duties towards your family, towards your wife, towards your children? Do you pass the test of Iman at your workplaces? Do you pass the test of Iman in the kind of things you consume? Are they all halal or haram? Do you pass the test of Iman in always obeying Allah, giving your life to Allah? Do you pass the test of Iman in not allowing the dunya to deviate, to derail you from the right cause? Secondly, we saw that a good father came. You saw the situation at home, that this wife in my son's house may affect the family setting. He was the one that asked the son to divorce, and the son obeyed because he knew his father was a prophet, and of course, it meant good for him. There are times the son may not see things. There's others who can see more than you see. The second wife, when he came the second visit, he now, he affirmed that very one that, okay, this one is a good wife to build the family. And we now realize that surely has it that when he left the wife and the son, he went. Some say it was coming monthly, but some say it came depending on the time. That was on that very one. Then also after that very one, we now saw the father and the son raising the pillar. Says, they were asked to build Kaaba, and that Maqam Ibrahim we see today. Where it is now was not where it was before. It was because it was a platform from where it was built the Kaaba. So, but because of convenience or pilgrims to kiss the Hajar Aswad, not to be, even despite that, the people see rush and the kind of crowd we found there. So it was shifted backward so that people can have time to be closer to the blast on the Kaaba. So we saw the father and the son obeying Allah. So that's how it should be in our family. Let all of us join us together to obey Allah. And after the building, we saw them, Rabbana taqabbal minna. Have you witnessed that such in your family that you are both praying, you and your son praying to Allah to accept the efforts you have? Even the ram will kill you for Salah alone. Do you have such a prayer at all that Allah, this you have done, accept it from us? Then behind that, to be Rabbana ya Muslimin laka. Make us Muslim. They try to pray that to be submissive to Allah. We saw the father who related the dream to the son. Then we saw that he obeyed Allah, bringing the mother and the son to the haram there. And of course, we saw that when he brought her there, he was not doubting what Allah will do. So, my dear listeners tonight, these are just the brief. We were drawing out, deducing from Hajj season, because this talk is not about family, home as the kind of normal discussions we normally have, talking about the parenting and the life. The discussion is on the season. We find ourselves, we have been talking about season of Hajj. This is a perspective to the discussion, the family phenomena, which we have tried to explain, the role of the father, role of the mother, role of the son. If you can please even ignite this inshallah, with contributions or questions, inshallah, before we round off for tonight, based on what we have discussed, the topic has been building your home. You're welcome. Barakallahu feena jamia. Shukran lakum. You can signify raising your hands or send your question to the chat box. So you can pick it from there, inshallah. Clarifications, questions, and the likes. You're welcome. You have questions, contributions. The window is open for us now. Clarifications based on what we have discussed tonight, inshallah. So my dear brothers and sisters, so if there are no questions, I think we want to round up for tonight so that I can have time for other things. So we want to appreciate a lot for coming from far and wide. I can see a lot of our brothers from across the states joining us tonight. May Allah reward you abundantly for spending your time. Until next 2 weeks, inshallah, when we'll be coming again. If you have a comment here in the chat box here, you just say an appreciation. Jazakumullah khairah. So inshallah, until next, let's just try it every 2 weeks. Sunday like this, 8:30, we have this kind of a discussion. So we're in the season of Hajj. Hopefully by next week also we come with a new perspective to the season. For those who are going on Hajj, may Allah grant them, make it easy for them. And those who are just still having intention, it's never too late. Allah has a way of helping his servants. May Allah make it easy for them. And for the season of slaughtering ram too is there. May Allah provide for all of us to be able to slaughter the ram to get the reward for the season. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.